All right. Welcome to Fire Engineering Podcast, Network for Success. I am your host, Dave McGlynn. We are live from FDIC, so how cool is that? They got us in this nice sound booth. So not that I'm exposing my political following. I'm probably not going to follow Fox News as much anymore because of lately, but I kind of feel like I'm at like a real news booth thing, you know? So that's kind of cool.
This is like the penalty box.
Yeah, it's like a penalty box.
I feel important.
But usually they used to have us like in a room, you know, and it was like not great. So this is really nice. I love this. So anybody who is not here at the show, come next year. We say that every year because it's awesome to be here. It's the Super Bowl. It's the greatest show on earth. Everybody talks about that. But if you're at home watching, you're in your firehouse or whatever, and you're watching, you're in for a treat because we're going to talk about a couple books that are coming out. Me and my buddy Steve Hamilton, we were able to contribute to. So I'm going to pass it over, but I'll introduce them from my right down. So this way we're in order, so everybody knows. Right? So I got Frank Ricci, who just finished writing Command Presence. I got Steve Hamilton. Everybody knows who Steve Hamilton is. And then I got Steve Prziborowski, which is how you say his name. Not spelled the way you say it.
Short is just Super Steve.
Super Steve, yeah, or Priz. But so Steve's got a new book coming out that Frank actually wrote the foreword for, but we're going to talk about his book that he just had finished, a year ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago, yeah.
So we're going to talk about their books, and then you guys talk about projects that are coming up. But if you want, go ahead and talk about your book, Frank. Tell me about the book. Tell the audience why they should buy the book.
Here, I'm going to take one from Steve.
Sales pitch.
Yes. Go ahead.
Tell me about the book. No, really, what's the book about?
The book is Command Presence, How to Increase Your Influence. So essentially the book tells my story of my successes and failures, but it tells more about my failures than anything else. After I read it, I'm like, wow, I really suck. And I can get better.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. We break it down, truck company simple, into the tactics of leadership, and it expands past the fire service. So regardless of what industry you're in, this is a book for you. I'm proud to say the foreword was written by Tucker Carlson's best friend, Christopher Bedford, senior editor of The Federalist. It was really nice that he stepped forward to help out fellow firefighters.
Yeah.
So I'm honored, but it's a good book. Command Presence is something you have. It's about being calm, confident, and competent.
Yeah.
And you worked a truck company stylistic thing in there just now. Just pointing that out.
Yeah. This is written for a fourth grader. So what do you call it? So everybody.
Oh, so
everybody
that's why you mentioned the trucking. Right. Yeah.
Everybody can read
okay,
it.
That's
why I got Steve and I got Dave both contributed to this great publication. And I say this with a little bit of sorrow, and then I want to move over to their great book. But this is Bobby Halton's last published words. So Bobby fought to have this book published, and I'll tell you a quick funny story. So Bobby Halton fought to get this published, and then he calls me up and he says, "Frank, I'm almost done with your foreword." And I said, "Bobby, sorry, but I already asked somebody else to write the foreword." So I recovered by saying, "Bobby, I want to make sure that somebody reads this besides my mom, and I want to finish strong. So would you write the culmination of the book?"
Yeah.
I don't even know what that was at the time. And
It sounded good though.
he said, "That's great." So Bobby Halton, my mentor and friend, who I miss every day, wrote the last chapter in the book. And I'm proud of that. So
it's a good closing of it too.
Culmination. The thing in the back.
That's
thing in the back. There you go.
That's the 3-syllable word of the day.
I like it.
Culmination.
I like it.
So real quick, I just want to say to people, so Frank's a modest guy. So I'm not saying because he's my friend. It's a great book, and the importance of stuff like that, right? The importance of fire engineering books, the importance of these types of books, the importance of the stuff that these people bring to you guys. So Frank said about how he had the failures, right? You know, we're not going to sit here and talk about how to gain success. We say, here's how we fell on our face 17 times, and then this one thing worked. So try that. So you don't fall on your face 17 times. And that's the importance of these types of things, is because they're built off of true experiences. You know, it's not just somebody throwing out a bunch of sexy words in hopes that it'll stick. It's literally somebody telling you a story about their experiences and their failures and setbacks. And there's value and merit to that because it makes you appreciate the information all that much more. So, Stevie, talk about your contribution, talk about what you got going on, talk about the RTF stuff too, because that's important.
Well, I had a My book.
Right there.
So I have a DVD.
Yeah.
You
But that's
contributed
not
to this book. There
that's
you
not
go.
technologically advanced enough anymore.
No,
so
no, yeah, we don't do DVD.
there's that. But I got that. I was ridiculously honored when you asked me to contribute to the book. I mean, it floored me. And then
It shouldn't have floored you. Steve's one of the greatest instructors out here at FDIC. And if you haven't taken his class, even if you don't want to take his class, like I didn't want to take his class the first time, I got dragged in there, and I was going to like pop in so I could say I went and then leave, and I stayed for the entire thing. I mean, your class, I got so much out of your class. You're a brilliant instructor, Steve.
he is.
Hey.
So it was an honor to have you contribute.
that story that you've told about coming to class, about, God rest his soul, Chris Pepler brought you to it. It's one of the best compliments I've had as an instructor, so thank you. The fact that Frank's going to show up in the back, make an appearance, turn around and leave.
Do a pop-in.
And I remember, because it was one time I did a classroom, and I remember seeing him in the back and watching him stand just looking and then leaning and then his foot on something and then he sat down.
Then when he sits down, that's
Yep.
the compliment. When
Yep.
he takes a seat, you're like, "Oh, Frank likes my class."
And I was like, watching him like, you gonna sit? Like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest of that's history.
You
But
mentioned
thank
Chris
you.
Pepler. Can we give a tactical tip that Chris
Absolutely.
Pepler gave?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was in Steve's class. I'm sitting there, and Chris Pepler goes, "You're at FDIC. You're going out every night. Send your wife flowers." So me being typical,
Oh, wow.
I hand Chris Pepler my phone and my credit card, and I say, and I trust him implicitly, and I said, "Yeah, please send my wife flowers."
Right.
So a couple days go by, I get a call from my wife, and my wife is laughing, and she's so happy about these flowers, and she goes, "I can't believe I got flowers. It says love, Chris Pepler."
But then
That was in your class.
What happened
I
yesterday?
remember that
So
story.
what happened yesterday? though?
Oh, I don't know.
You
wasn't
made
there.
me. So Chrissy, God love her, she's not happy because I'm here. So I'm telling him, like, yeah, Chrissy's upset. She says, "Oh, you should send her flowers." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna send her flowers." So I read a little note and I'm sending things. He says, "Let me see the phone real quick. Let me see what you wrote." He puts "Love Frank." So I
You gotta put it forward.
I turned my phone off. I forgot to show it. She texted me the picture. She received it yesterday, and she says, "Thanks so much, love Frank." Because it's on the note. It says "Love Frank." So yeah, it's good stuff though.
Hey, carrying that forward. So always going to remember Chris. That was that always makes me laugh.
Yeah,
So I like it.
yeah.
So whose wife you going to do that to next year?
Nobody. I'm good with the wife I have. Thank you.
That's funny. So Priz, talk about your book and the one that you just finished, right? You're done.
Yeah, hard act to follow so far, but yeah, no, my first fire engineering books and videos published book is 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam, and it was set up originally just as myself providing 101 tips, and sort of like what you said, Frank, was a lot of lessons learned too over the years of promoting to captain, battalion chief, deputy chief. So a lot of my lessons learned, and then from there, after I submitted the manuscript, that's when the staff here was like, "Hey, why don't you try to add some words of wisdom? Don't just make it yourself." So we threw some, Paul Combs let me use his artwork, so I got a bunch of Paul Combs artwork in there along with some pictures. Got to make it firefighter friendly with pictures, not as good as Frank's new book.
Truck
A lot of good
companies
pictures.
can read
Yeah,
it.
truck company
truck
friendly.
companies read it.
And then we added about 37 different authors, Dave McGlynn, Billy Goldfeder, Mike Galliano, Larry Conley, Anthony Avio. Obviously, I didn't really know Frank Ricci that well at the time, so I didn't reach out to you. But now on the next book, we'll talk about that in a second. I did. But all these fire engineering and FDIC authors helped add a couple pages, and most of them were all like, "Hey, what do you want?" I go, "Well, here's my, say, tip number 1 of how to get promoted." And it's really a leadership book. Even if you don't want to get promoted, I think it's a good leadership book for officers, firefighters,
I
just
agree.
they want to be the best they can be. But like prepare for the position, not the test. So then you'd have someone like Billy Goldfeder add a couple, 3 or 4 pages of lessons learned. So I think that's what complements this book so well.
All right, so let me understand
Yeah.
this. So you didn't have time to finish the entire book, so you Tom Sawyered out a lot of parts of it. So as President Obama said, you could go visit all 53 of the United States.
I missed that memo because I'm striving to get all 50 states.
Okay,
So
well,
I now just realized there's 3 more I got to get speaking. So I got to work at it. So
if you don't mind, why don't you tell the listeners you're trying to get to lecture in all 50 states, and you're actually, I mean, that's quite the accomplishment.
Real quick,
how
Priz
far
is the
off?
hardest working man in show business right now when it comes to being an instructor. So he literally flew in last night at midnight, coming from Louisiana where he was teaching, so then he could teach here this week. It's like every time I talk to him, he's in another state, and he goes to a baseball game and catches a rock concert, and then also teaches. So
one life to live, and it was one of those
Yeah,
bad
right.
timing things. But I'm up to 38 states. Louisiana fire chiefs called me up and said, "Hey, can you speak? When? This week?" It's like, shit. So I was like, came here for about a day, half a day, and then flew down there. But got state 39 off the books there.
That's
but
awesome.
it's okay. It's one life to live, and got to enjoy while I'm
Right.
out there. And
Right,
you know
God
what?
bless. That's
Thank God I
awesome.
got a wife. She doesn't want flowers. She's pretty good without flowers,
Yeah.
but she's very understanding, and
well,
she's
she's
like, have
part of
fun,
our
be
thing.
safe.
That's just so it's easier for her to understand. And
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So I'm just very blessed and fortunate that able to do these things. Then my next book that manuscript is done, just waiting for get the go from Fire Engineering Books and Videos to hopefully have that out by next FDIC. Frank was nice enough to do the forward, even though I didn't get him for the first one. I got him to do the forward, which was much appreciated for you to do that, to help set the stage on Courage Under Fire leadership with a lot more of my lessons learned over the years that I'm hoping to share with others in a good, positive way to not do the same stupid stuff I did. Not that it was bad, stupid stuff that got people killed or injured, but still stuff that we can learn from.
Well, Steve, it was a high honor to write your forward, and the way I met Steve, it just speaks to his character and value as an instructor. I met him when he was taking somebody else's class, and that's what you'll see at FDIC. That's what you see Dave do and Steve do. You come to FDIC, you're not just going to see the instructor standing in front of the room. You're going to see the instructor not just leaning against the back wall. They're going to be sitting down and actually learning, taking tips, taking notes that they can bring back to their department. And I was so impressed by that you
Thank
were
you.
right there up in front. So,
Well, that to me is the
high
best
honor.
of it. Thank you. I mean, that means a lot, Frank. And that, like you said, is one of the best parts about FDIC is that it's great to be speaking and sharing your knowledge and wisdom, but that's the hour 45, and that's cool. But it's also the fun part, not just doing stuff like this and networking, but sitting in other people that you've met or people that you haven't met but want to meet and just want to gain some knowledge from and just soak it all in. I mean, that's the best part about this.
Amen.
And outside of that, after the class is over,
yeah.
it doesn't stop. So you go to dinner, you walk the hallways, you're out on the street, you go out to have a drink, and you bump into not just instructors, but
Yeah.
firefighters, and you end up talking shop,
get
and
lifelong
you learn some
friendships
stuff
out of it, too. That's the
absolutely,
beauty of it,
yeah.
you know, I mean-
So, as an example, I hope to talk with you later about how to travel and teach. You're trying to get to 50 states. I'm trying to get to any state.
You're here. You're here.
And he's for hire.
Got one.
And with
You made it to Indiana.
Yeah, you made it to Indiana. There you go.
with my wife Jenny, she doesn't want flowers either. So the focus needs to be anything within close proximity to Disney,
Okay.
Disneyland.
I would say world or land.
Yeah,
Two different
so-
places.
Something
Land is more his.
Disney.
He's a
If-
California guy.
If we can figure out how to possibly get FDIC or conference at Disney for firefighters, that
I don't think that's a good idea.
No, Indianapolis is
my
where
my
FDIC
wife would
is.
love that.
Yeah. I do
In
not
my world,
recommend that.
in my little world.
You got to have dreams. Got to have goals.
Sure, yeah. Everybody's got to have
When it comes to
aspirations.
encumbering money, towns like that you're going to a conference in Indianapolis and not a conference in California.
Or
And
Las
this
Vegas.
Is a great
That's
city.
valid.
This is a
Yeah.
great city, but this is probably the only conference that you see out there where they don't realize that Indianapolis is a destination until they're here.
Right.
And they experience how warm and how
Yeah,
great the
I would
people
agree
are,
with that.
the hospitality we receive. But when people come to this conference, they don't take one class and go out. They're taking classes all
all
week
day.
long.
Of course.
And then
Every
going
day.
out, which
Yeah, I
is, which
agree
is
with that.
great.
That's 36 hours. 36 hours out of a course of 5 days. If you come in on Monday, you can get 36 hours of certificate training.
Of great
It's
training.
not, oh yeah, I went out to a conference. No, you come back. You have a certificate. So, hey, did you really go to class?
Right.
Yes. But 36 hours of that knowledge sitting in a classroom, and then expand that out to the conversations that we were just alluding to.
Oh yeah.
It is a crazy amount of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
that you just soak in, and there's nothing like it. And I don't know the level of appropriateness, but I would tell people who would try to get out, or people from the department, like, yeah, I want to go to FDIC. I was like, look, there's a problem with this. How many kids do you have? Oh, why? You got to have a lot. Because once you go to FDIC once, it's possible you'll end up selling one to raise the money to go again.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much
Interesting take.
yeah.
And
It's that
never
drawing.
thought that.
It's that dramatic.
Right. No, I would certainly agree with that. So, for most of us, we've had the fortune of being able to travel around. I haven't been to 39 states. I don't know how many I've been to, but I've been blessed to have gone around. And it's not to take away from any other show. It's not to take away from anybody else. But this.
Their other shows suck.
No, I'm not saying that.
I was keeping it truck
Yeah,
company
I know.
simple.
You were, yeah. No, I tell you, like, I'm gonna echo what you guys are talking about, like, so this for me, like, Hammy made the introduction with you, and then we got to meet years back.
Yeah.
And we went out to dinner together, and we just hit it off, and we have these lifelong friendships that you get. I started writing for fire engineering, and the guy that was a chief with me at West Point was Hammy's captain. He said, "Oh, you should reach out to this guy, Steve Hamilton."
Yeah, I'm Hammy, by the way.
Yeah. He said, so he said, "You reach out to this
Amongst
guy,
other names.
Steve Hamilton," and then you and I connected years ago, and now we talk all the time. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like the things that you get here, you get all that knowledge, right? You get people from all over, every walk of life, the best of the best for the most part. Some of them are one and done, and I get it, but you get the best of the best, right? The hot classes, the hands-on stuff was awesome this year. You get some hands-on stuff, and you get to meet with people and talk shop with people that are like literally like Norman had that working with giants or something. That was that what it was? His book a while back. So like that's like I attribute. It's cliche, but I do like for me. I came up knowing who everybody was. So for me to be amongst them, it's walking amongst giants. You know what I mean? And I share that with the people that have been here or hope to come. Is they are, but they're not. So they are in our business, but then they're people, and you get to hang out with them and talk to them, and have a drink with them. Break bread with them. You know what I mean?
Vodka.
That's not. It's coffee.
5 o'clock somewhere in the world, Frank.
Yeah, no, but it's seriously. So like the things that FDIC has, you know where I'm going with this is networking, right?
Uh-huh.
So these networking opportunities that are there, I feel like to quote Mr. T, I pity the fool who does not take advantage of these opportunities. So let me tell you something. So as an instructor, and I'm not knocking anybody who stays after and talks to the instructor. I love to talk to people after the class, but it is tough because you have so many, and you try to do the FaceTime, and you really appreciate them coming. But talk to people, and don't just talk shop. Like I love when people just talk to me about life. You know what I mean? Like I just want to talk about life, and it's just really nice to get to know people on a life level, and understand like they went from being a giant to the humanity piece. And that's what FDIC brings. Is they bring the giants and they make them human, and it's a beautiful thing, honestly. I mean, look, I'm here with you guys. I was following you guys for years. Now I talk to you guys all the time. I mean, literally, you three, I talk to anytime. I can pick up the phone, call you anytime, right? You guys know that you call me, I'm probably gonna pick up the phone, or I'll pick up and I'll say I'll call you back. Hey, Frank, I can't talk.
The king of networking at FDIC. The king of networking. You call him, he picks up and says, "I'm too busy right now. I really don't want to talk to you." He picks up the phone and he's like, "Yeah, I'll call you back." I'm like, "Well, then why'd you answer the phone?"
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He'll text me.
At least he answers the phone when you call him. I got to call
But he
him like
answers
5
to
or
tell me
6
that he's not
times
gonna
over the
talk.
course
Yeah,
of
let him go to
text
voicemail,
message.
dude.
Yeah, let it go to voice.
I always love that.
I'll get a nasty text message from him. "You're killing me. Just pick up the phone already." I'm like, I'm very busy right now.
It's like, I'm coming to Pennsylvania. The car's packed. Answer the frickin' phone. And it's It's not generally how I communicate.
No,
It was
nice
really
guy.
important it was really important that I needed to talk to him. I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
That's true.
We won't get into what it was,
I know.
but it was important,
It's always important.
and it proves you screen the calls. By the way, sorry, it proves you screen your calls.
I do not screen my calls.
You just said I called you multiple times, and then I get a text
Because
message.
you told me you called me. I didn't know. I don't screen my calls. You said, "Hey, by the way, I called you a bunch of times." Sorry,
I'm calling. It's
take your face
suspect.
value at it. I'm,
Suspect. Suspect.
I don't
answer
screen
the phone.
calls. I'm
Text
not,
back.
listen, I
I'm
don't
busy.
ghost anybody.
Well,
if you have my number, give me a call. I'm probably not going to answer, but
It's
give me a
just the
call.
networking guy trying to look at different tactics and strategies to handle things and connect with
I need to
people.
I need to prioritize which one is worth talking.
Some
and
work,
stuff.
some don't
Leave me a
work.
message. I'll say, this one can wait a little bit.
Blow them off, whatever. Delete.
That's awesome.
So real quick, so I want to talk about this just because for you guys. So tell me about your first experience. Did you come as an attendee or as an instructor your first time here?
The first time I came here to go to the bars, and I didn't even go to the conference, and I was in a bar, and I was talking to Eddie Cancro from FDNY,
Okay.
and I learned 5 things in the bar, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if I go to a class? And then I was poor, I was a fireman on a truck, not making a lot of money. So I just wore a suit, and I just walked into every class the next time.
People thought you were important.
Yeah, they thought I was important. I was nobody. So, now I come to FDIC every year, and it's been a long time. I love this show.
But seriously, did you come as an attendee before you got picked
literally,
to
I came for
teach?
the bars. That's a true story. That's like literally how it happened. Went to the bar, learned something in the bar, said, wow, I can learn a lot more in a class.
There you go.
And then kind of took it off from there. It was the
go.
ladder approach.
The loophole.
I had to
approach,
start at the
everybody.
bottom and kind of work my way up.
Pay your dues.
Yeah.
The raw honesty. Anytime you ask Frank
Oh,
a
my
question
God,
it's there.
You're not going to get a political statement. It's just going to be the hard truth.
Except when he introduces you to the vice president of Clarion.
Oh, that was the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dave Polikoff.
Dude.
Then again, that's
Oh, got to hear this
So
story.
well, hold on. Let me build up the audience real quick. So for those of you that don't know, so behind the scenes, fire engineering, FDIC, GEM, so they're owned by a company called Clarion. Clarion. There's 2 different ways to pronounce it. So anyway,
you're from Jersey. You don't pronounce anything the way anybody else does.
I know.
In Jersey, there's a different way to
There's
pronounce
a different
it.
way to say it. Yeah.
Not in Connecticut.
So-
That's okay.
So a few years back, fire engineering was purchased by Clarion, and a lot of us were like, we want to know what's going on, and we had heard that Clarion was going to come and kind of assess the show and see how FDIC was doing. So Frank comes up with this genius idea to convince Steve that Dave Polikoff, who's an instructor here and at the time was a battalion chief down in Montgomery County and is like just a regular country Maryland guy, all right, right, convinces this guy, Polikoff's wearing like Levi's jeans, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and a
he's
button,
wearing
dark button
full
down.
dad mode, like Asics sneakers. Seriously, like he's clearly not the vice president, unless he's the most modest guy in the world, Clarion. But sells Hamilton hook, line, and sinker, and tells him, "Hey, this guy that I'm going to be with is the vice president of Clarion." And then how the rest of the week go?
So, not for nothing. I'm sorry I brought this up because the amount of exaggeration that's going to come to this.
Everything I said so far was an accurate thing.
He wasn't wearing sneakers. So
think
there's
they were
going to
white
be some
Asics.
Tennis shoes.
There's going to be some stuff added to it, and it wasn't the rest of the week. It was way shorter of a time span.
It was like 3 days.
So
It was
he's like,
a 3 full day. thing.
Frank's like, yeah, hey, this is the guy over there. He's the vice president of Clarion. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, you want to meet him? Yeah, sure. Comes over, and Polikoff's like, hey, hi, how you doing? Yeah, vice
Dave
president.
went right along with it.
Vice President Clarion. So, what do you think so far about the show? And we were talking, and
Yeah.
I think we went to Slippery Noodle, or we were going somewhere.
Yeah, I think
and we were walking.
Slippery
and
Noodle first. Yeah.
we end up going. We're upstairs, the second floor, wherever this place is, and we're just hanging out, and we're just going. It's like, so you guys are event management? Is that what you do? Oh yeah. He's like, yeah, I just left Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just out at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Polikoff is going right along with it.
And maybe I'm not well read. I didn't know what Comic-Con was, so I had to ask him, what's Comic-Con?
It's huge.
This thing's just going and going
Oh, yeah.
and going. And this is what? This is 6 years ago? It's got to be.
It was they bought him in 19. It was 19.
No way.
Yeah, it was 19 when Clarion bought
4
him.
years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic.
Everything's upside down. I got a lot of gray. It's
At least you still have hair.
It's starting to affect me in other ways. So that you end up letting the cat out of the bag at some point.
Yeah, but it was a couple
It
days.
got painful.
It was a couple days.
It was funny, and then it just got sad.
The first
I said,
night
I
we
gotta
left
tell him.
Yeah.
Stop
It was like
the
the
bleeding.
second night where you listen, I love you. He was rolling the red carpet out. He was like, so listen, he's like, FDIC's the greatest thing ever, and this is like, I love it. He's like telling this guy everything in the world, like he was like selling FDIC to this guy. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, and by day 2,
Here's the exaggeration.
there's
stuff.
not an exaggeration. You got to back me up on that one. He was
talked
rolling
to
the
him
red
as
carpet
normal
out
as I talk to
for
anybody.
Levi's jeans and Asics sneakers, and and finally Frank's like, he's not really the vice president of Clarion.
I looked at him. I was like,
But then it made
I
sense.
was
You
like,
were
well,
like, you looked
I was
down
like-
at the Asics, and
I
you
was
were
like,
like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Dave.
Steve's a cop, so he's always aware of his surroundings.
Yeah. So I'm you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking out these windows, hoping Polikoff comes by to throw something at
He
him
will
for saying
vouch
he's
for
a
this.
country backwoods Asics wearing kind of guy. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's what I got out of this.
Yeah, that's all I heard. Dave,
That's a
Polikoff,
tweet for
wherever you
fire
are.
engineering to put out.
Right, there
Dave
you go.
Polikoff. We're
So-
close to politics and tactics. The back
Yeah. So
he's a wearing kind of guy.
that's what he said.
Kind of guy.
That's how he
So,
rolls.
and in truth, I talk this way to everybody. But so he tells me this, and I'm like, okay. Well, who is he?
Yeah.
He's like, he's a freaking battalion chief in Maryland. And I was like, you bastard.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Because they were ribbing me. It was like being in a circle. I was
yeah.
like getting jumped in a gang.
Yeah.
Of just this verbal assault of. And on top of the fact, he was like, I cannot believe you're a law enforcement officer and you're that damn gullible.
Right.
And I was like,
Way to not
know
pay
what?
attention to your surroundings.
so you and I are going to talk later. So this is what I get. This is a story that is going to stick with me for the rest of my days.
Oh, yeah.
For the entire time that I ever come to FDIC.
Polikoff had me on his podcast. I brought it up. I had him on my podcast. I brought it up. They had me on their show. I brought it up. It's my favorite story to tell.
But is it-
anytime I'm around that guy, I'm like, hey, remember that time
Well,
when
wait
we
a
told
minute.
Steve
Well, wait a
Hamilton that you were the vice president?
Is it in your book?
No, but
Well,
now I'm
see,
going to
no,
put it in
doesn't
there.
count.
That's
Yeah,
what-
yeah.
it's going in there.
There was your opportunity.
It's going
Too
in
late.
there now.
Nope.
It's going in there now. We're not out for print. You just set yourself right up. I am putting that in there.
And Dave, you got a book coming out that's based on your great class that you did
Yeah,
here
thank you,
at
yeah.
FDIC.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but yeah,
yesterday.
appreciate it.
No, I'm bringing it up. So you got a great book coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
Available for pre-order.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I have a book about my class that I did. It's called the book is called The Training Officer. Do you have what it takes? We're finishing up. We're getting final touches. I got some good contributors that have contributed. So we got some other folks that we wanted to have in it. One of them is actually outside. If I can bring him in at all, I would like to.
Yeah, I could trade out because
Oh, you're not gonna-
you
you
did a
gotta
great
go?
job on the book.
Leave. You
were-
just set me up and
no,
you gotta run
no.
away.
You said you're bringing somebody
Get
in,
outta
and
here.
you were
Yeah,
working
I won't
8
bring
days a
Scott
week
in.
on this book.
So
So
Well,
so
you know-
Frank wrote the foreword, and I'm a big Beatles fan. And Frank had plugged the whole 8 days a week thing, which I thought was really
which is
cool.
funny
Yeah.
because most of the kids nowadays are going to be saying,
No idea
"Oh,
what it means."
Frank thinks there's 8 days in a week."
There's a typo here.
There's a typo.
Is that Connecticut math or what? Yeah.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
No,
Well-
who are you bringing in? I'll trade out.
No, I
gonna
can
trade
trade
out.
out because I got a thing with the
Oh.
vice president
So-
Clarion.
No. So yeah.
ASIC sale.
Yeah.
So
We're
I
gonna
wanna
go
bring Mike
sneaker
Scott
shopping.
in. Yeah, I want to bring Mike Scott in. Yeah, he's coming in. Come on in. Yeah. But no, so what do you call it? So I got that. I'm finishing that up. So I appreciate bringing it up. I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah. So it's anybody who's taken my class knows it's very raw. It's very just upfront and telling you the truth. So the book is about that. You know, I'm telling you, I'm not teaching you how to be a training officer. You already know how to do that, right? This isn't a fire instructor 1 book. I'm telling you, the stuff that you will deal with, the minutia, the union stuff, the retention, the recruitment, the staffing issues, the mundane things that pop up that you had something on the schedule and it didn't work out because this happened. I'm going to talk about all that stuff. We're going to talk about some training plan stuff and everything like that. We got all these guys contributed to tell you their experiences with it too. Come on, Mike.
So here's the thing: if there's any embarrassing stories or any way to get you or
No,
whatever,
there's no embarrassing story.
they're not going to do that.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah. No, there's no
I sit
embarrassing
short,
story.
really. If I sit, you might not see me behind the table. I sit very short. My legs are long.
You're not a short
You're
guy.
going to see.
Not a
Look,
short
there
guy.
you go.
He was clearly on a truck, ladies and gentlemen. He's not a small guy at all. He's not a small guy at all.
I'm only 6 foot.
Yeah. So anyway, so real quick, so we'll bring in so you know. So this is Mike Scotto. So Mike just retired out of the city. What was what we call it, FDNY for those who don't know what the city means. Yeah. But so Mike and I know each other because when I was up at West Point, they were running an engine company ops class, and I went and helped out as an assistant to help out with the class. And I got to meet him when he was running, and we were doing burns, and you were there, and I hit it off with him. I had him on my podcast a while back, and Connor. So I tell Connor, I'm like, dude, that guy, bro, like, he forgot more about the fire service than people will ever know, and like they don't even realize, like, because you're so cool and humble and normal that these kids that are passing through the Orange County and everything, they don't know like who you are. And I'm sitting here telling Connor, I'm like, this is crazy, like like it just amazes me. So I love that I'm friends with you. I love that you came in. So tell us about yourself and everything you got working on. Tell us about your training company, what you got going on this week.
Well, first, thanks for all that stuff. I'm not very humble, actually, very eager. Just to go, I am great. Let's get that. Oh, no,
Yeah.
Thank you. People call us heroes. The fire service, we're not heroes. We're just people doing our job, and everyone on this board could probably understand that. We're just doing our job, something we love. Today's class I'm doing is basement fires upstairs at FDIC, communications.
Doing basement fires upstairs.
Upstairs, yes. I can't do it in the basement. I get scared there. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Good catch.
Yeah, I work for New York State as a state instructor, and I'm also an Orange County, New York instructor. And after 43 years on the fire department, I retired. I worked in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and then finally the Bronx and stuff like that. Brooklyn and Bronx were towel ladders. Manhattan was an engine company, so I did that for like 12 years. My training company, basically, we train firefighters in basics, tactics, simple things, nothing crazy. It's almost like I say in every class I've taught, shortstops in the major league take ground balls before the game, right? Can they catch a ground ball? Of course they can. Why do they practice? To stay sharp, to stay current on basics.
I love that.
And that's kind of what it is. And that's why I was in your class earlier today. It was
Yesterday.
yesterday, was it? I don't know what day
Do
it
you
is.
have what it takes to be trained?
That's it. I don't have what it takes to be a
No, you-
memory expert. I can clearly
on
see
your
that.
level.
Well, my day started off kind of bad this morning. It's gotten better since then. I mean, this morning I woke up, I picked up my shirt, and a button fell off. Then I grabbed my briefcase, the handle fell off. To tell you the truth, I was afraid to go to the bathroom. So, just one of those days. Started off bad. But it's gotten better. No, it's gotten better.
So you're saying that we need to? Well, you should submit a receipt and have them buy you new stuff. Now. So this is an on-the-job.
Oh, I like that.
This is an on-the-job hazard.
New shirt,
that
new
happened,
briefcase.
you know?
What's the
Leave
worst
it
you
at
can do?
that.
Say no, right?
Say no, that's what I can say. My years in the service have
We know
shown
the
me
Vice
so many
President
things.
Clarion. He
Do
probably-
you?
Yeah, he can probably say
Oh.
yeah.
If he's around.
Yeah.
Just give him my name. No, but being in the fire service is the greatest thing in the world. Should have been a millionaire. That's kind of like where I'd like to be. I'm not stupid. I'm smart, but I'm not stupid. We see so many things that change over the years in the fire service. I came on and we were still riding the back step, and now we have drones that fly over fires
it's crazy,
and tell us
right?
heat sources and things. It's amazing how it's changed, and guys have to evolve to that. So we kind of want to help them evolve. That's why we do our instruction and teaching and stuff. I don't know these gentlemen here.
Oh,
I feel
I'm
sort of.
sorry. No.
Steve
Steve Prziborowski,
How you doing?
California.
Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Mike.
and Frank Ricci from New Haven.
Oh, Frank. Okay, yes. I know I've heard his name, and I saw you once, twice.
Yeah, so the nice thing is they both have laws named after them. Just in case you're wondering, if you want to know, you and him both have laws named after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got a law named after him too.
Wow, there you go. We'll talk about it after
Yeah,
class.
he's
We don't want to
after
get.
the class. Good stuff. Yeah.
But you can come back in. I'll stand up. Really, I feel so bad. He's standing over there. Come back in. Come on, come back in.
That's the president of Clarion.
Yeah.
Kissing babies.
I gave it a shot,
eating
guys.
ingredients.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
fire service is the best. Go
So
ahead.
what do you got working on? How's the training company going?
It's going good. Doing more classes now that I've retired. You know, other than the honeydew list at home, and it's a constant thing. Like the 200 children I have that live in my house just inundate me day in and night.
Yeah.
I noticed that people write books, and it really helps get their thing out. So a buddy of mine wrote a few books. Hi, Mitch. Hi, Doug. So I figured I'll sit down, and I know you're writing a book, and I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
I
want
can't.
you to have the spot in it.
I know, you
Yeah,
said,
we do
you
that.
did say that, I did forget, I'm sorry. See how busy he is at home? But writing a book is something, so a friend of mine has written a couple of books on history, so he's gonna help me put my stuff together with classes and
That's
see if I
cool.
can write something, and we'll see
Yeah.
where it goes from there. And then I wanna write a kid's book.
Cool. Really?
I wanna write a children's book. I
Really?
think a children's book for fire prevention
I
would be
think
so
that's
much
so
fun.
cool.
Absolutely.
I think it'd be a lot
I
of
got
fun.
scissors. I want to do the next leadership book I write. It's going to be a pop-up.
There you go.
Truck company simple. It'll be great.
That's it.
Big pictures, big words, coloring.
Break windows, break doors.
Animals. All the
Animals.
firefighters will be animals.
Yeah.
Free,
You know-
free crayons included.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's for the Marines, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's just something I want to do. I have some time now, and I'll do it, and have a little fun with that. Learn from some of the guys. That's why I come to these things. I learn so much. You know, I put so much time in a job, and then you see things and you learn. It's like, wow, I never realized this. I never thought that. I just came from a class on pump operators. Chief Wallington from Burlington, North Carolina, is a friend of mine. I went to his class, and I've never seen him instruct before, because I was down to do some classes down in Burlington back in January, and I wasn't feeling good in the morning. It was a hands-on class, and I ended up getting sick, and I had the Wuhan for the second time. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it hit me that day, so I really didn't do much with him.
Did you learn the 3 most important numbers?
Yes, I learned the 3 most important numbers: 68, 125, and 375. I think it was. Yeah, great stuff. And I used to be a backup chauffeur when I was at 18 Engine many years ago. So I mean, once we parked the horses, thunder and midnight. Whoa, big fellas! We'd start pumping the rig, and things went from there. You know, and it was kind of a little simple. And then the buckets, of course, were wood. You know. But I don't know why I'm doing all this talking. Why don't you guys say something? I feel like I'm running out of words
I
here.
wanted you to come in. That's why I asked you to come in.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that.
Oh, I love you, man. I love you that you came in. So anyway, so what we're talking about, so real quick, so the one common theme that you heard from everybody, right? So he's 46 years in the city, right?
43.
43 years in the city.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good
No.
story.
Yeah.
Gives you 46.
They're like, how can you do
Just
46
go-
years?
Just go with it.
No,
Just
but
go
so,
with it.
That-
so here's where I'm going with
46.
this, right? So how long you been teaching?
Oh, since like 2005, I started to get into it more seriously. So almost 20 years.
20 years. What about you, Chris?
Gosh, got in the fire service in '91, started teaching in '92, so pretty much volunteering right after in my EMT class, volunteering in my paramedic class, the academy.
Over 30 years teaching.
Yeah, over 30. God, it goes by quick. But I always had a passion for it, which is great. And then
Right.
obviously,
And what about you?
Same.
Teaching that long?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
every one of them said that they go to classes. Every one of them
Yep.
said, I love everything that I'm learning. So, I mean, that's, I'm not a mathematician over here, but that's over 100 years, 30, 40. It's over 100 years, right? Of guys that are educating our fire service, literally all over the country, Connecticut, New York, California. And then we said before, Prz has been 39 states, so all over the country, right? And yet every time they go to these places, they attend classes. So
And I like Steve because it's nice to see something good come out of California. It's usually bad public policy comes from Connecticut and California.
Oh,
it's
really?
a vice on the rest of the country. So
Yeah.
so it heartens me
Well, thank
to
you, brother.
see
Feeling
great
is
things
pleased.
coming out of California.
Now, to be
I
fair,
was born and raised there. It
New
wasn't my
York sends
fault
up
or
some
choice.
bad policies.
Okay, it does. But,
Yeah.
We squeeze them in.
yeah, we squeeze them in.
We squeeze them in.
Jersey, New York, and Connecticut,
Yeah.
their governors are kind of
Yeah.
it's like one thing now. So, and it's all
trifecta.
the size thing of wrong.
So Steve, keep up the great work.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
saving
You're a good
California.
inspiration.
Day
I'm
by
trying-
day.
Day by day.
There's times, yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on out there, but that's
Yeah.
a whole nother session.
No, but so I'm going to give you guys a quick final word, but I want to
Yeah.
throw that out there for everybody that's watching, and if you watch later. So even these giants, they go to class. So like in my class, and then I got the section in the book, I talk about being a student of the craft. All right. So I've only been doing this 22 years, and I've only been teaching since 2014. So, I go to as many classes as I can, and I attend it with these guys. It's not just that they're teaching it, they're sitting in class. It's just never stop learning, and I know that that's like a It's a sexy thing to say, but this is a job makes or breaks you. If you want to be good at it, you never stop learning. So like you said before about the shortstop, right? Of course the shortstop catch ground ball, but because he practices.
Unless they play for
every
Boston.
day. Well, yeah, the best shortstop that ever played was Derek Jeter. He played for the New York Yankees, if you want to know. But seriously, I am serious about that. But seriously, like, just be a student of the craft. So I'm going to start with you, and then we'll work our way back. But just give a quick final word if you want.
Wow. A lot of good stuff we talked about, short amount of time, but thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and always to hang out with you guys and meet new guys too as well too, because, I think you hit the nail on the head the best. I think you look at pretty much all the instructors here, everyone's got a passion for doing what they do to help pay it forward, give back, share their thoughts, words of wisdom, for whatever they're worth, Not everything we all say will connect with everybody, but that's the benefit here. You got so many different opportunities, different flavors, whether it's leadership, fireground command, operations, building construction, different flavors. And I think that's what helps keep us all young and, focused in the right direction. Because we all look at our respective departments. Not a lot of people are going to conferences like this or writing books, articles, speaking, teaching, and that's fine. But it's just really exciting and inspirational for me to see the future of the fire service that we're seeing here. Obviously, older folks like some of ourselves, and then younger folks that, it's going to be left in good hands,
Yeah.
And I think that's the exciting part for me is, hopefully keep doing this as long as I'm relevant and as long as I'm waking up on the right side of the dirt. So
Right, yeah, amen.
That's it. Thank you.
What about you, Lou? What do you think?
Well, I think it's two things. It's time and experience that guys need, guys want. I remember talking to my Proby, this guy Proby Halligan, many years ago, and I said to him, you have to do something to this job, make something out of it. And apparently he did. I understand. I don't know what it was, but it is time and experience. You have to take time. You have to learn. You can't just get all the knowledge overnight. Even listening to going to classes with instructors and stuff still takes experience. You have to go out there, train realistic.
Yeah.
You can't train in a kind of a fake world because the way you train is the way you're going to play. And one of the things I always say is, this is where your level of training is. And this is where you have to be someday. So, we're going to rise to the occasion.
Right.
No, we're not. We're going to go as high as our training level goes. And if we need to be here, so take the time, get the experience, get the training, go to the classes, do the hands-on stuff. And that'll make you a better firefighter overall, I think. That's what I've been trying to do my whole
I
life.
agree with that.
Experience is the best teacher, but only a fool learns in that school alone. And I mean, we all learn from our own mistakes, but the wise really learn from others. And one thing we see that's starting to be more common in the fire service, and I'm sure you could speak to this too, is that if you have senior firefighters and young officers, it's safe. If you have senior officers and young firefighters, it's safe to a degree. But what we see with the hiring practices now, we have a lot of young officers with young firefighters, and that makes a dangerous job just a little bit more dangerous. And whether you got 30 years on the job or 2 years on the job, we can all learn a little bit more, just do a little bit better. And you can do that by picking up the book, like Vanna White, Command Presence. Increase your
there you go.
influence.
Yeah, seriously, get on fire engineering books and videos. Order Frank Ricci's book, Command Presence. Order Steve Prziborowski's book, 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam. I'm in both of these books, so trust me, it's a good book. No, but and then just seriously, I just want to thank you guys for coming in. Thanks, Hammy, for being in. I love all of these. You know that. I appreciate you. I'm a big fan, and now I get to be your friend. But for you guys, listen, never stop learning, like everybody just said. But apply it. Application is key also. So what you learn, bring back to your station, bring back to your department, pass it on, put your hands on it. At the end of the day, in this ever-evolving world, like yesterday I had the picture of the dirty hands. we still got to do what we do with our hands, so don't forget about that. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. This is Dave McGlynn, Fire Engineering Podcast Network for Success. Everybody stay safe, and hopefully you come to FDIC next year.
Be well.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, brother.